Thank you so much for joining us this week for Dragonblade Authors Unplugged. We had 2 releases this week. We had New York Times bestselling author Cheryl Bolen's My Lord Protector from the Beresford Adventures. And we also had Melanie Rose Clarke, who's here with us today to talk about her book, Captured by the Earl. So that's book 2 in the Secret Crusader series. Is that right?
That's right.
Thanks for being here, Melanie. Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Sure. So Captured by the Earl is a fun regency with a lot of humor, and I try to put a lot of heart into it. And so it's about Emma and Peyton. And Emma is a strong woman, and she wants to make a difference with social change. And people accidentally start to believe that she is betrothed to Peyton, who is currently out of town. And she was going to correct them, but then she figures out that suddenly she has new status and everyone wants to listen to her. And it's going great until he returns to a woman he didn't know he was betrothed to. So then he's not quite as interested in ending the betrothal as she assumes. And he has some secrets of his own, some special work that he does as on his own. And so it just shows their relationship as they go through this and each learn about each other's secrets. And Emma is also part of the Secret Crusaders, which is the overreaching series, which is these women in this group where it's a secret group that pretends to be a sewing group, but they actually fight for social action causes. So she's part of that too. And that's also something she wants to keep secret. So they both have secrets from each other, but it's fun and lighthearted, and that's it.
Oh, cool. Cool. So can you tell me a little bit about that idea of Secret Crusaders of working to promote social causes? Did you have to do research involved in that? How did you get interested in writing about that? I know that was it's a series, so that was the theme of your first book as well.
Yeah, so I did look into that, and it actually was really interesting to see how many people were actually, like, women did work for social causes and other things at a time when women were not necessarily expected or allowed in some cases to do that sort of thing. And I read about some very, interesting cases and interesting women, who really made such a difference. And I just like that. I like the idea of having strong women, and of having, just something that meant more, that really, showed also that even somebody who's not in a traditional position of power, or a place where you would think, okay, this person can do that. Even a person who's not in that can make a difference. And even one person, can make a difference. And I really wanted to show that, and, to show the readers that, because I think that's such an important thing for everybody to remember.
It really is. Did you find anybody when you were reading about it that was particularly inspiring to you? Any story you might not know?
I don't remember the exact name. There was one who was really, really inspirational. I should have had her name, but I don't. But there was one who just did so much building up charities. Was really a trailblazer and very impressive. And I'm sure there were many lives, that were changed for this one person.
Yeah, it's I think it's easy to see mothers seeing the things that need to happen and wanting to step in and fill needs that need to be met too. So it's hard to imagine that women wouldn't have done that they wouldn't have tried to make the world better. So
exactly. I'm sure there's many that you have not heard about, or that have been forgotten by history, but make a difference.
Yeah. So is this a 3-book series that's planned?
Currently, it's a 3-book series. There is stuff going on beyond that, on my end at least. So the first one came out in June, and that was Escaping the Earl, and that was about Priscilla, who was the founder of the Secret Crusaders, and her Duke. And in that book, she is an informant, but she's an anonymous informant to this Duke. So she wants to make a difference, and she can find out information that can help, but she's not allowed to go to Parliament. She's not allowed to vote or convince people. So what she starts to do is starts to write anonymous letters to this Duke, giving him little bits of information that he can use. So he thinks he is corresponding with Lord P instead of Priscilla. And So they go back and forth because then they know each other in real life. They're both part of the ton, but then he is looking for a bride and he becomes very interested in her, not knowing that she is actually a very, kind of his friend.
So cool.
And so, and also I try to put in, just different characters and showing different side characters and some characters who are in, difficult situations and circumstances and, showing how that can be changed. And I really try to put in a lot of witty banner. That's my big thing. I want people to smile when they read my books. I want it to be fun and light and not too much stress and an escape. And so that's that one.
I love the idea of that idea of social causes, but with a little bit of a smile at the same time too. So that, I think they're much more fun to escape read that way.
Yes.
Well, with the idea of a secret sewing circle, you can have lots and lots of different characters. Do we get to see the characters from the first book in the second book?
Oh yes, there is a lot of characters you'll see in and out. We have siblings, we have friends, we have all those sorts of things, cousins and wards, and you see it all over the place. So it's nice that you can revisit in the second book. There's a lot of the characters in the first book and so forth and so on.
Yeah,
so
I like that. I like getting to go back and see people again. Once you've fallen in love with them, it's nice to revisit. So
yeah, see that continuity.
So we were talking a little bit about what it's like to write with kids at home right now. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about your writing day and how that goes?
Yes. So I have 700 children. No, I don't actually have 700 children. It feels like I have 700 children because I have 5 children ranging in age from 4 to 15. So I got, the toddler kind of thing all the way to the teenagers sort of thing. And they are wonderful. I love my children more than anything in the world. But we are actually all home right now doing virtual school. Wasn't the plan, ended up becoming the plan at the last minute. And, 11-year-old boys aren't as interested in teaching themselves as one would think. Neither are any of the other ones. So a lot of my day is trying to balance writing and telling them that they need to, get off of YouTube and start actually doing some math problems. And when I see my son jumping on the chair in front of his computer, I know he's not doing algebra because, it's just not that exciting. So it's, and then the other thing is I'm always worried that I'm going to start typing, because I can hear my kids' first grade class in, right behind me. So I'm afraid I'm going to type, he looked into her eyes and leaned down and started singing the ABC song. So make sure I don't sneak anything in with my mind in 2 directions. So it is a challenge. I get up, I start my day extremely early. I am up usually before 5. And I have a lady and we do that I sprint with every day from 5:30 to 7:30 in the morning. And I'm usually in my pajamas, I'll admit. But I get a lot of my words in then. I do other sprints, which is where you are with another author and you'll say, okay, start now. And a half an hour later, how much did you get done? And so just here and there, basically every minute I can get, but then if a child comes up and says, read a book, then I read a book. So that's my life right now. It's hectic, but I like being busy. So it's okay.
It sounds like you have a system that works for you. So that's a really good thing. Because you can't even headphone or anything to block out the other noise because you need to be able to hear the little people.
Right, exactly. It didn't work that well, but I got a sign, I think, that said, what was it? The queen is busy, something like that. And I literally hung it on the back of my chair. Nobody cared. I mean, it wasn't anything that the children cared about. But here's your sign, Mom, it's on. But, it was cute.
I used to have one on my office door that said, if you're not on fire or bleeding, don't open the door. And the little one would open the door and go, I know I'm not on fire or bleeding, but there would be
But there's something really important. I actually went out. I could see if I can find my picture. I decided to go outside the other day because I just gave up. So let's see if I can find that right here. This is what I do when I really give up. If you can see it, that became my office.
Patio.
I have to say, my husband was not working. He was watching the kids. I didn't leave the kids alone. That's what I did. So
yeah, patio writing is a great thing. As long as you don't end up just watching the birds or the crazy chipmunks. I think I'm turning into the crazy chipmunk lady at this point. So it's still hot where you are, though, isn't it?
It's pretty much always hot where I am. So it's like gotten to the frigid temperatures of about 85. And that's actually fantastic because
you can't even pumpkin spice at that point.
It's like, no, but you don't like somebody who doesn't live in Florida doesn't realize the difference between 90 and 85 for me is a big deal because it means that when I come back in the house for my walk, instead of like being like I was in a sauna, I'm simply uncomfortable. So it does make a huge difference. And I'm a big component. I'm also like very big into exercising because I find it to be really important for your physical and mental health. And so I do that every morning. So now at least in the mornings, it's a smidgen cooler.
Do you walk? Do you walk in the mornings? Or do you?
I run and then I run and then I also walk. I need to get out of the house sometimes.
Yeah. Does the running help you clear your mind and help you be able to work through plot ideas and things?
So I don't plot while I'm running. While I'm running, though, it's like tremendous for stress relief. But what I do is when I go on my walks, a lot of times that'll be when I plot. So when I sit in front of a computer, the plot doesn't come. But if I'm just walking and outside, and then it's like, oh, what if this happens? And what if this happens? So,
yeah. Do you know where the story is going to go the whole time, or do you find out as you go? Are you a heavy plotter to begin with, or do you mostly start writing and see where the story takes you?
So that's something that's changed about me. In the past, I was a big plotter, and every chapter had a huge paragraph. And I changed to become what they call a pantser, which is for the most part, I do it as I go. I always know the general gist of the story. I do always know the ending. It could be a spoiler. They end up happily ever after. I'm sorry if I gave it away, but that's what happens. But I always know like usually the gist. And I try to come up with like a few scenes as I go. But I really like doing that because when I'm thinking of, when I'm outside walking and I'm thinking of my plot, it'll be like, suddenly I'll come up with this idea and I'll be like, oh my gosh, what if this happens? Or wouldn't this be wonderful? And so I like that I can be flexible like that, because if I created this rigid plot, I feel like then while maybe I would be a little quicker in typing it, but I would miss that. I would lose that flexibility and that ability to say, oh, wouldn't it just be hilarious? Or the ability, escaping the Duke went a little long at one point, and I took a whole scene out and I plopped it in book 3. So,
cool.
Yep, I changed the name and everything, but it literally was something, writing that was originally in that book, and an entire huge part of it is now in the 3rd book.
So, are you working on book 3 now?
Book 3 is done. Yep, it's done. It is the Untamed Duke, and it's Sophia and her Scottish Duke, and that was really fun because they're very feisty characters. And in that book, the man who's a Duke, he just inherited the title, and it was something he did not expect. And he believes that the heroine's brother murdered his father. He has diaries that seem to indicate that.
My
goodness. He wants revenge on her brother. And she's very protective of her brother. She's a member of this, this group. And so he decides that he's going to kidnap her as part of his revenge. He wasn't going to do anything. He was just going to literally take her for
nothing nefarious, and
return her unharmed. And he wasn't even going to ruin her. He was going to tell the brother, don't say anything. I won't say anything either. So he didn't want to hurt her. But in any case, she notices this, and she tries to kidnap him, and then he kidnaps her, and then later she kidnaps him again. So it's kind of a lot of kidnappings. Only
it sounds like a lot of kidnapping.
And but they start to grow closer, and she realizes how he misunderstood what happened. And in both cases, they're both still. I always try to put some little important thing in it just to show, through the fun banter, through the wittiness. In the first book, it was about a child who was on the streets, and then they were saving him. And in this book, it's just a little bit about helping a woman who is, being, has an abusive husband. So I just always try to put in just a little something. In the current book I'm writing, the sister has a disability and they're trying to help her. So I always try to put into something that is meaningful and something that shows, just like I said, that more of that heart and that.
That makes sense. Cool.
Mhm.
So, I know you said that you have a book in the Star of Light anthology. Is that right?
Yes.
That's coming out. We should talk about that a little bit. But before we do, I just want to remind everybody that next week is Upon a Midnight Dreary comes out on Thursday, and we're going to have a big party in the Dragonblade publishing page. So you want to make sure that you tune in for that, and also make sure you pick up the book because there's like 20 spooky Regency historical ghost stories. I'm very, very, very excited about it. All based on ghosts and things. But we have 2 collections coming out in November: Star of Wonder and Star of Light, and those are our holiday anthologies. And Star of Light is the one that you're participating in, right? Can you tell us a little bit about the story in the holiday anthology?
So all of the stories in the anthology are based on Christmas carols, which is a lot of fun. And there's a lot of ways you can go. And I think a lot of different ways that people did go. But for mine, I made it based on a winter wonderland because I personally remember being a child with the bells. I don't know if you ever did the bells in elementary school, but we used to do the bells with the winter wonderland. So it's something that had meaning for me. Not that we saw a lot of white wonderlands in Florida, which is where I live. So this one is a little more lighthearted than the other ones and a little more fun. There isn't a whole lot of, it ties into the other in that she is Bradenton's ward, which is the hero of escaping the Duke. And so it deals more with just that since it's a short novella, but the hero really likes her and he wants to make her his wife. And she, kind of got plucked by Bradenton. She got plucked from a more simple life, from a simpler life. And she was thinking she was kind of going to go back to that. So Bradenton and the hero agree to kind of accidentally get her trapped at his country estate with him and other people. It's not like, there's
not going to ruin her. Just
yeah, exactly. So anyhow, she gets snowed in, and the activities that they do there while he's trying to convince her that she would make a perfect bride for him are things like going on a winter walk, building a snowman, naming him Parson Brown, having the kitties. So you just see basically they do
all the walking in a winter wonderland thing.
All of their activities are the same things that you see in the song Winter Wonderland. And I put in like little snippets from there. So that one is light, fun, and cute. And all my books are happy.
Good. That's why we read, is for a little bit of an escape.
Exactly.
Melanie, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us this week. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you filling the whole time too. That was great. I'm glad that we were able to do this. Melanie's book is Captured by the Earl. It is book 2 in the Secret Crusader series. I'll pop the link in underneath the chat in case you haven't gotten it already, so you can pick up your copy for reading this weekend. Cheryl Bolen's book is My Lord Protector. And that's book 2 in the Beresford Adventures. I'll make sure that link goes in there as well, so that you can get a hold of both of this week's releases. And then just a quick reminder about next week's. Next week we'll have our regular Dragonblade Authors Unplugged with the authors that have releases next week, but we also have the anthology releasing on Thursday. So I'll pop that link in as well and make sure you pick up your copy of that as well. So thank you so much, Melanie, for taking the time to talk to us. I really appreciate it. And thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.